Do you want to be more confident as a live streamer? If you're afraid of being on camera, if you're afraid of not looking your best on camera, that can actually work against you. And it can be a big stumbling block to help you become more confident as a live streamer. So, on this episode, Marco Novo and I, we're going to be talking about 7 steps to help you be more confident as a live streamer. And there's a lot here, there's a lot to unpack. We're going to try to go through each one. We've got some products as well we want to talk about in regards to these areas. But I'm going to go and bring on Marco. We're going to kick things off. By the way, this is the Launch Your Live show. There's also an audio recording of this, and that's available at launchyour.live/EP91. So this is the 91st episode, launchyour.live/EP91. So you can go and you can check out the video of this as well. But Marco, it is great having you join me yet again for another episode. How are we doing?
Hello, thank you so much. It's a pleasure as well for me. Greetings from Portugal. let's let's do this.
Fantastic. Yeah. So being more confident as a live streamer. I mean, we know that confidence is like super important with just about everything you do. And you have to be more confident. You have to be confident if you want to, be successful. Like, yeah, there are people that are probably going to fake it, for the most part, but confidence, I mean, is that something you think, Marco, is that something that people are born with, or is it something they can develop? What do you think?
I think it's kind of yes. Some people they are born with confidence. I think I got my good share of confidence because I made crazy things till now.
Okay. Yeah.
and but also it could be trained because most of these skills you can learn, you can improve, you can become better. And so confidence, it's one of them that I think you can practice and you can improve and you can excel with training and with doing most of all.
Definitely. And so today we're going to talk about how can I be more confident as a live streamer. We've also got a few products and tools that we talked about earlier. You could check out those at launcher.live/gear if you want to go check those out. So let's talk about real quickly, Marco, like, why do you lack confidence as a live streamer? Like, what are some things that come to mind for you, I guess, in terms of like not being confident?
Well, for me, for instance, the language, because I'm a native Portuguese speaker.
Okay.
I'm not an English speaker.
Got it.
So this could be one challenge. The other thing is, and this is a common thing these days, which is we see so many amazing people sharing their knowledge with huge audiences, and we, at the end of the day, we think, what can I bring to this, to my audience or to the broader audience that those other people didn't brought yet. So this could be also another thing. Another specific thing when we talk about audio and video content, it's the sound of the voice. This is
Mhm.
something that usually people, oh, I don't like to hear my voice because it seems so crazy. I don't like my voice. Oh my God, it sounds horrible. So this is one of the most common things. And also, and unfortunately, there are people thinking about this. They think that the look, it's important, the beauty, if you want, it's important at time that you hit the go live button. Okay, and as you can tell, this is not that important. So yes, I think, and also at some points people don't think, okay, I have the right gear, I don't have expensive camera, expensive microphone, so I'll be waiting till the moment I have the good gear.
That's an excellent point. Yeah. And a lot of people like they're using that as a crutch. They're using it as a crutch so that, you know, oh well, when I when I spend thousands of dollars on expensive equipment, I'm going to be more confident. I mean, I actually think you might introduce a lot
Yeah,
more fear
yeah,
that
yeah.
you're going to break something or
And
you're going to set it up
expectations.
wrong or you're just not going to know how it works. And so I think that it does make it super difficult at that point. So yeah, so question for everyone, if you're watching, for example, I'd love to know, like, what do you do to be more confident as a live streamer? I know we've got a great comment here from Dean, and Dean was saying he remembers he didn't like public speaking. And I think I broke out of my shell from doing demos for customers of broadcast equipment and DJing. So again, part of it's taking those actions. Like, for example, if you're not comfortable being on camera, you have to, that first step is the hardest part of the whole thing. And it literally is the whole, it's like, how do you eat an elephant? It's like one bite at a time, or I think it's a frog. It's like you eat it one bite at a time, for example. And so the thing is, it's like, okay, so how do you get more comfortable? So, for example, in the case of Dean Home One here, Dean's saying, he didn't like public speaking, so we started, you have to do demos, things like that, to get you a little more confident on screen. Another example he's sharing, he says he records himself. Absolutely. I think those
Good
are
point.
super, super, super important points in terms of helping you build your confidence. And so, what we want to do real quick is Marco and I want to go through some of the different steps that we would recommend people take to be more confident, especially when it comes to live streaming. And you have to think of it like this: everything you're doing it's not just for that meeting I'm going to be in, or that presentation I'm going to give, or that, if I'm going to be on stage in front of a whole bunch of people, or doing live streaming. Everything that you do can build upon itself. So, if you're on a Zoom call, for example, that's the same thing. You're on a Zoom call, you want to be more confident, So if you're giving a huge presentation, you're not seeing the audience, for example, if it's virtual, but it's still another one of those things where it builds into helping you build up your confidence. And so, Marco, let's talk about this. So let's talk about what the first item is. And number one is to know your material. Now, can you kind of elaborate on what this means?
Well, the first thing is your material. This is so important. Okay, don't talk about things you don't know. Don't talk about things that you're not an expert. For instance, some people, they usually ask me, which is the main topic, this buzz thing that I can make my live shows about to get amazing views and amazing audience and whatever. And I say, it's what you know. So the first thing is the material. It's your brain, and also is what you have. For instance, which camera you have right now, which microphone, computer as well. It's important. Also, it could be important, for instance, your cell phone. Okay, because I know lots of people, they don't have a laptop, for instance, or a computer because they don't need or they don't want, and but they have a good cell phone. This could be enough to start. Okay, so if you know, okay, I can start with a cell phone. A cell phone, it's a good equipment to start. I don't have to be overwhelmed thinking, what do I need, what do I go, and whatever. So you can start with this. So it's good to know what you already have, to know better your starting point, to know at which stage you are. Okay, and build your confidence with these basic things, because I think it is really important.
Definitely. And again, you have to know your material. So, like, you can't do the whole fake it till you make it thing. That works for some people, but you got to know your material. And I don't mean like, and part of it's knowing, okay, I know when the slides transition and that sort of thing, but it's actually being able to speak confidently about the material. And so here's the thing: if you don't know the material, how do you get better at that? So, Marco, what's one thing you think people could do to, you know, get to know their material better?
Well, it's like trying them. It's also important. Okay,
Okay.
so
Okay.
and one of the things I like to advise people, mostly when they are starting, because there's this misconception, this thing. I need to go live to practice going live, and as we saw in the comments, it's not the. I recommend, don't start going live to practice going live. You can record. So one of the things I recommend people to do is to record videos, and this could be a nice way to understand if you have the camera is good enough. If how do you feel? So also the microphone
Uh-huh.
audio, it's really, really important. I think we could not stress this enough,
Yeah.
because it's really important. And if you can, for instance, try the laptop, the camera from your laptop, and also the microphone,
Mhm.
and what you have, of course, recording, for instance, could be a nice way to understand if you have the right equipment to start.
Definitely, yeah, and so definitely know your material, know it front and back, and again, and you'll hear us talk about this in a few minutes, but practice your material. So don't just, don't just say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna wing it. I'm gonna like, you want to actually like spend time getting to know the material, what you're gonna talk about. So for some of that stuff, by the way, I mean, you can always check out, like I like a lot of like notebooks or things like that for like jotting down ideas or things like that. But knowing your material is super important if you want to be more confident as a live streamer. Okay, Marco, what's number two, by the way, in this list?
And this, for me, it's so important. It's believing in yourself. And believing in ourselves doesn't mean that we need to think that we are the most amazing person in the world. It's not believing we are the superstar, the rock star on live streaming. It's
Yeah,
not about that. Okay, don't don't make this confusion. Believing in yourself, it's just this: believing that you have a message good enough, and I'm pretty sure that you have, to help others. Okay, and by helping others and having in mind that you're probably making these live shows, live streamings, to get customers, to get more business, I'm pretty sure that you have something to share that hopefully will help someone else in the other side of the screen. And have this in mind. This is something that I like to talk all the time. You're not talking to the camera. You're talking to someone else which is in the other side, and he or she may need your help. Okay, so have this in mind. This hopefully will change somehow your mindset. Oh, I said mindset. And this will help you as well in this, because I'm pretty sure that if right now someone, um, your friend, your relative, calls you and asks, look, I'm having this trouble, and it's your expertise, of course, can you help me to solve this? And I'm pretty sure that you can solve this. So having this in mind, just think, okay, if I can help my friend, my brother, my sister, my cousin, I can help other people as well. So this could be for me the best way to start believing in yourself in this situation.
definitely. And there's some really great comments, by the way, coming from people who are watching. We've got Dean Home One saying, if you believe in yourself, others will too. So part of it is you have to have that self confidence yourself. You have to believe in what you do. You have to know that, you know what, this is actually what you want to do. And you can't then, like, you can't listen. You should listen to your critics, but you also shouldn't take everything they say to
Absolutely.
heart.
Yeah.
So you got to believe in yourself. And so, Marco, let's just do me a favor. Let's bring up some products here. I got a couple of items here.
Okay.
So let's bring up the Elgato Face Cam, and we want to talk about this because again, there's some great comments here, and Dean also was saying he records himself, and so you can. Here's the thing: you can go and you can use your smartphone, you can use your laptop, you can use any of those devices to actually record yourself. But part of it is also making sure that you actually have the right kind of camera that you're using for your live streams. And so one of those that we like to talk about, we like to talk about this one. Um, this is the Elgato Face Cam, by the way. And we love this product. This is a very, very, very good camera. And the great thing about this is, again, you got to believe in yourself. So you got to see yourself. You want to make sure you look good on camera, but you also want to make sure that, like, it's not hard tech to use. You don't have to get like, there's not a whole lot you have to do to actually give you that boost of confidence. So again, we talked about like knowing your material, but also believing in yourself. And that comes down to, recording yourself, for example, like speaking confidently, right? Marco, is there anything
Indeed.
else you want to add about this face cam?
Well, just highlight its Elgato device. So this, in one side, it's kind of uh, a stamp of quality, and on
Okay.
the other side, this means that you can integrate this camera with the other um, material from Elgato universe, which is good. And also, and lately I've been thinking about this because this is a common problem here in Portugal. People are kind of a little bit greedy when we talk about invest in the business. And for instance, oh, it's too expensive, I won't be spending money with this, it's
Yeah.
too much, and whatever. And I think it's important when we have a business, if we don't have money to invest, we are not serious about our business. Okay, because I don't see any other way to grow business without investing. I think it's part of the thing. And the other thing is, for instance, I don't want to invest in my business, but then they go dinner and they spend lots of money with lobsters and whatever. So it's important to have this in mind. And also, if you look good on camera, if you look at and you are sharp image and crystal clear, oh my god,
Yeah.
you will get more confident. Because if the image
Exactly.
is blurry, you will be thinking all the time about, oh my god, I look so bad in camera.
Hmm. Yeah.
This my and people will notice this. So this is important. This is crucial to have a good image.
And I love that point you made. If you, a lot of people, they don't like the way they look on camera. They don't necessarily like the way they sound. We'll get to that in a minute. But the key thing about something like that is making sure that if you look good on camera, you're going to actually feel a lot more. It's like clothing.
Yeah.
If you're wearing clothing, for example, and you're wearing, some people, like, they feel more confident when they're wearing a suit and a tie.
Yeah, yeah, indeed, indeed.
And so, it's, if you look confident on camera, or you look confident, sorry, if you look good on camera, you are going to feel more confident. And then again, it comes down to like how you're dressing, all that sort of stuff. I'm not saying like, oh, you need to like change up how you actually dress. You need to dress comfortably, but you also need to dress, like, recognize, what, when you put a suit on, do you feel more confident? Because if you do, then maybe that needs to become your business, like your specific business attire that you wear. So also want to make sure I highlight this point from Dean here. Dean also says, you should always invest in yourself. Absolutely. And by the way, this is a key point. So the importance of, we talked about the importance of believing in yourself. But the other thing that's like super important about that is, you don't want to you don't want to shoestring the entire business. Maybe you shoestring the business along, you bootstrap it. I think you do that at the beginning, but then don't cut corners and everything else. That's the key thing. So you got to you got to keep that in mind when you are, again, to build your confidence. Because if you're always thinking, you know what, oh, I'm not there, I'm not there, I'm not there, then you're going to have a hard time getting anywhere, because you're sort of in a way holding yourself back. So that's a great comment from Dean. So what I want to do is, actually, sorry, before I move to the next step, I want to actually talk about this other comment real quick from Dean. And Dean says, and look at it like, look at this like a mechanic with no tools. So, and look at like this, a mechanic with no tools is not a mechanic. So he's saying, dress for success, but also, again, you can't claim to be a mechanic if you don't have the necessary equipment. So
Absolutely.
how do you go about getting that necessary equipment? Part of it's, that's where it comes into play about finding creative ways to get the equipment that you need. And then, taking, and that gives you that little bit of boost. Like, it helps put the wind in your sails a little bit. So excellent point from him. So the next way that you can be more confident as a live streamer is to practice. And you've heard this, practice makes perfect, practice. So you practice, so the material, you brush up on all that, but you practice what you also are talking about. So you practice your delivery method, for example. I will say this, when I first started streaming, I've gone through like umpteen like iterations of how do I place my camera? And there were certain little things that I didn't like. And if your camera, for example, is not set up in the right way that it needs to be set up, that plays with your mind. It plays tricks on you. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're practicing in the environment that you're going to be in. For example, I'm in an empty room right now talking to a camera, but I'm talking to you all. And so
Absolutely. Yes.
one of the ways that you can do this, by the way, is this. So I love this item. This is a desk view teleprompter, and there's a few different ones of this. This is there's a T2, there's a T3. And so basically what this does is this allows you to be able to have a teleprompter in front of you. And this, by the way, does not mean that you just need to put your script on here and read from the script. You also can use this. You can put a screen on here as well and actually see what the broadcast looks like, or put yourself and your guest, for example, on camera. So I'll use the example here with Marco right now. Marco and I'm going to cut back to this shot. So I have one of these teleprompters. I have the desk view teleprompter. And so this is the desk view. And basically what this does, I mean, you can see from the picture Marco has, but basically what you do with this is you put this on your camera, and then you can put a tablet on here, you can put a laptop. And then the benefit is that what it's going to do is if you are streaming, you don't have to worry about, oh, I got to constantly be looking down at my notes. I got to be looking off to the side. It puts everything right there in perspective, right in front of you. So as someone who is wanting to be more confident on camera, you've got to set yourself up for success with that. Marco, is there anything you want to add about, practice?
Well, there's something as you mentioned, the practice makes you excel. Okay, I don't see any other way for you. Okay, there are talented people that they can be good because they born kind of good, and they whatever they do they do good, but they are the exception. And sometimes you should understand that behind a successful career in any field of knowledge or whatever, there are lots of practice. For instance, the last week we brought these books. They were in the carousel. I think we didn't spoke about them, but there's two books about the 10,000 practice hours to become really amazing in some fields. So and I can recommend them: Outliers from Malcolm Gladwell and Bounce. I have the book somewhere. You just go back to the broadcast, and this is yes, it's about practice. And there's a little thing, a little nuance I want to talk about this thing. When I started doing live streaming, I just wanted to share my message, to get known, to build to build my personal brand. By today, this is my business. I'm being asked to produce live shows. I've been asked, for instance, to collaborate with other live streamers. I do as well on my Amazon influencer channel live shows. So that was my kind of my vehicle, became my business. So this, you should have this in mind as well. Sometimes practicing or allowing you to know an unknown world will be maybe, who knows, your next business.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's a great point. Yeah. And so number 3 is practice. And so we got a great comment from Dean as well, by the way. He says, don't forget, research your field of interest. And again, you can get experience with this. By the way, that's important. So if it's an area you want to get started with, let's say you're new to live streaming, you may want to, at this point, how do you go about, how do you speed up the process? And part of that is going live more often, but part of it also is maybe you network with other people, network with other streamers, for example, read books, for example. So you have to practice, but you also have to put it into action as well. That's super important. You can't just I'm going to fake it. I'm just going to do it. And because again, it's easy to just do it. It's making sure that you're, the material, when you go into it and the material, you're going to be way super, super, super confident there. So number 3, practice. And by the way, if people ask me the question, how much practice should I put in to be a more confident live streamer? There's no number whatsoever. You just have to do it. And this will get to the point, we're going to talk about this towards the end of the show, but you have to do it. And then you have to actually be willing to make some of those adjustments, or be open to some of the criticism that may come up, or critiquing yourself.
Yeah,
so that's
absolutely.
number 3. So number 4 is to get to know your equipment. And I got to say, I'm going to talk about this from two angles. So the first angle is making sure you have the right equipment. So, for example, if you're a live streamer and you're using a laptop that's like 10 years old, for example, or 5 years old, and you're looking to squeeze as much as you can out of that laptop. But yet, kind of to Marco's point earlier, like you haven't upgraded the laptop, but you're going out and buying other stuff, and you're buying like a new mic and you're buying a new camera and you're buying like, a bunch of like tripods and microphones and things like that. But guess what? What you're not doing though is you're not focusing on what the problem may be. And that problem may be buying the right equipment to start. So, for example, if you've not been using, if you've been using a laptop, the same laptop for like 5, 10 years, even 3 years out, and you're looking, and it was like a low power product, and you're like, I want to do live streaming. It comes back to this. It puts more stress on you to be a more confident live streamer if you're struggling with the equipment. And it's not to say you don't know the equipment; it's the fact that you don't have the right equipment. And so,
Yes.
Marco, I know like let's bring this up. Like, so we have, for example, like this is a great product from Amazon. This is
Oh
the
my God!
Acer
Sorry.
Aspire.
Let
Yeah.
me change the
Oh, because
the
the price or
language
something
because
or what? Oh,
it's
okay.
in Spanish. Okay.
No, it's
Sorry.
okay. So when we talk about getting new your equipment, having the right equipment is the first thing you need to do. So you need to get the right kind of stuff. So for example, this is a great little laptop. This has so for example, this has an AMD Ryzen 3 in it. And for those of you who don't know what this is a gaming that's a gaming processor. So it's a great processor to have. It's also got 4 gigs of video DDR RAM. It's got 128 gig SSD. It's got Wi-Fi 6. It's a great price for $360. So again, it's having the right equipment. So for example, if you need a laptop, don't go and buy, like you could go buy like a gaming laptop, but don't buy the cheapest laptop you could buy. Figure out how, like that's where I would make the investment to start would be, to buy the right kind of laptop. So that's the Acer Aspire. Now the other thing though, so Marco, let's do this. Let's bring up let's talk about that. Let's talk about that Mac Mini, by the way. So Marco's got the Mac Mini pulled up here, by the way. And so I'm going to pull this back up. So basically, again, this comes back to the same type thing. If you're looking for something that is actually super inexpensive, you should definitely check out the Mac Mini, for example. This is a great desktop computer. And it's about $500, 500 US dollars. And it can run circles around most computers. You got to look at it like this. If you're trying to get into live streaming and you're, like I said, you're using that old computer, this is a very, very, very good upgrade. There's also, I think we've got the MacBook Pro as well in our carousel as well. So if you want to be a more confident live streamer, you got to have the right kinds of equipment. And these are all great. I'd love to show you this laptop. I'm using it actually right now to do this, but got to start with the right gear. Now let's talk about the importance of why it's important to know your equipment. So if you want to be a more confident live streamer, you got to have the right, like start with the brain. The brain is the most important part. You got to have the right computer, but then you also need to know your equipment, know what works best together. For example, know how much fiddling you have to do with the camera. You may have to, you may have to tweak a couple of things on it, but it shouldn't be, I need to set this up an hour beforehand and actually spend an hour just trying to get it set correctly. Because again, all of that just destroys your confidence. So you've got to know your equipment, know what you have. If you don't know your equipment, learn it. And got a great comment here from Dean Home One saying, prioritize the equipment. So get the right equipment, but also make sure that you know exactly what equipment works well together. Don't just get it because somebody else recommended it. So Marco, let's do this. Let's bring up that. Let's talk about your microphone, by the way. So we talked about like knowing your equipment, right?
Okay. This is my sweet Shure MV7.
So Marco's got this mic. Yeah, this is the MV7. Okay. What's so important about this?
Well, one of the most important and interesting things about this microphone is it is an hybrid microphone. Okay, so you can work on US with an USB connection or with an XLR connection.
Okay.
Okay. If you don't understand what an XLR connection is, it means that you should go USB. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And the good thing is, and this is kind of a con about USB microphones. Most of them don't have, you don't have, as a streamer or with as a content creator, you don't have much control over the microphone. Most of you just can control the level, that's it. And because of that, Shure came with a new software which allows you to control this microphone like you had a mixer.
Yep.
Okay. They have presets, they have you can control compression, you can control equalization and this gain. So this will give you the availability to control your sound and to give better audio to your content, which is good. Then if you want to upgrade, you can you need to buy the XLR cable. Also, you can buy a mixer and you can do this kind of with an hardware. But this is a good microphone, and I think you can tell by the sound it
is. Yeah.
delivers.
And so we talk about getting to know your equipment. So for example, in the case of the equipment you're talking about, Marco, right now, you're talking about, like, I'm going to use my microphone as an example. So I'm going to bring this into the shot. So I'm using the Shure SM7B. So when we talk about knowing your equipment, it's not about, like, part of it's knowing, do I have the right type of vocal pattern on that, or the type of microphone? There are various microphones. There's condenser mics, there's omnidirectional mics, shotgun mics, like all that sort of thing. And so, for example, like this mic, I'm speaking into it. It sounds great, or it should sound great, right?
Yes.
However, there's a lot of things that go in. It's not just buying the microphone. You got to buy the mic.
Yeah.
I have to know, okay, I need to buy, like you see this red thing in the shot here. I got to buy something that basically boosts the gain on it. Oh, I've got an arm that I need to put this on. So it's not just like, hey, I went and bought the most expensive mic. I need to know what goes with that mic to make it work the best that it can. Because again, if you're fumbling with the audio or your audio doesn't sound good, by the way, audio is the most important part of a live stream. It's not the video, it's the audio. You got to know, though, what works with those mics. So for example, all this stuff, it ties together. And then this helps you be more confident. So for example, I don't have to fiddle with this computer that, if I was using a computer that's 10 years old, I don't have to fiddle with being stressed about that computer being 10 years old. And maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work, or maybe it'll stutter, or things like that. This is why it's so important to know your equipment. You need to know how it all works together. But then that also is a big, huge burden that is taken off your shoulders as a live streamer, because then you don't have to worry about, well, hey, I'm worried about my computer. I'm thinking it's going to like freeze or something in the middle of the stream.
Or explode.
Hey, I don't know how my mic works, so I'm not going to touch anything. You can't break it by just, unplugging something and, I guess you could, but you want to be careful with that. But you have to be willing to experiment with your equipment. So for example, Marco brought up the Shure MV7. And so here's the thing. My mic, you have to have the mic, an arm for it. You have to have a preamp to increase the gain of it, because it takes a lot of power, right? Then it also needs to plug into, in my case, it needs to plug into a mixer. So, we're talking about like lots of additional equipment in addition to that mic. In Marco's case, he talked about the Shure MV7, and his is very similar, but guess what? It can be plugged into USB. So that means he doesn't need all that other equipment at the moment. Because you got to remember, as you add more equipment, it does complicate your setup a little bit. So you want to be strategic about what you're adding. But you also want to make to the point where, if you're, for example, if you're not confident on camera already, and then you're going to get into streaming and you also have to manage the equipment and the production, that's hard to do. It's very hard to do all of that at once and then maintain that on-camera confidence. So, Marco, what other types of equipment do people need to really get to know? What do you think?
Well, the camera it's also a good thing, and we can use the same example you gave about the microphone, because, for instance, if you want to give the next step, buying a DSLR or
Yeah.
mirrorless camera,
Yeah.
you don't need to buy just the mirrorless camera.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, with that you need to buy a dummy battery as well, and also or uh, a capture card or an Anthem Mini. It depends, and also this is important to have in mind as well. It depends in the amount of cameras that you want to bring to your live stream. If it's just one, it's good to have just one video capture cam link, for instance. If you have, at least if you think, okay, maybe in the short term, I just want one, but in the long term, I want to bring more. Maybe it's better to buy Atom Minimum,
Yeah.
because with that you can have at least four cameras connected.
Definitely. Yeah. And so here's the thing. I mean, to help you be more confident, again, like we're kind of taking you through knowing your equipment. There's a lot of equipment available, but you got to also remember this. You don't want to complicate your setup. As you're building, if as you're getting started, it's one thing to easily just, it's the easiest part is to go buy all the equipment. The hardest part is to figure out how it works to make yourself also feel confident knowing, you know what, I'm the operator, but I'm also the talent and I'm going to be on camera. So, so for example, we talked about this earlier. We talked a couple about mics. You don't have to get the most expensive mic. You also need to make sure that you get equipment that you know will do the job that you need. And so, what we'd always recommend, like we'd recommend if you already know you need the MV7 and the SM7 or the SM7B and you got the budget for everything, great. But if you're
Yes.
not there, maybe start with a Samsung Q2U, for example. Or in this case, let's start with the ones that we have here. These are the Rode Wireless Go 2 microphones. And so for those of you who say, hey, you know what? I don't like how I sound on camera because you have the wrong microphone. Say you're using a shotgun microphone. That microphone is designed to pick up everything in your room and the audio. And in the case of Marco and I, we've got a mic right in front of us. It's not picking up anything else around us. And so, you have to kind of keep this in mind. So in this case, this is the Rode Wireless Go 2. And the Rode Wireless Go 2, I mean, the things that are so great about this, these are wireless mics. So basically they clip on your talent, they clip on you. These can actually plug into your laptop. And then the great thing about this is they actually sound really good too. So Marco, is there anything you want to add about the Rode Wireless Go 2?
Well, there's something about the brand, and I think this could help people as well, because sometimes they don't know which brand to choose. And we already spoke about three of them:
Yeah.
Shure, Rode, and Samsung.
Yeah.
So this could be a nice thing, and also a good thing about this kind of microphones. And you should have this in, you should think about this as well, is in which scenarios will I do live streaming. For instance, if you need a situation, if you only do live streaming from your desk like we,
Yeah.
it's this kind of microphone, it's okay. For instance, if you want to make some outdoors and in a congress or something,
Hmm.
and you should think, oh, maybe this Rode microphone would be better because it's really portable,
Yeah.
and you can put it in in a small case and have it everywhere you need. So this is something you should have in mind as well.
And that's a great thing, to keep in mind about like microphones. So for example, again, it's knowing your equipment. So knowing like what kind of setup you're going to be doing for your live streams. You want to make that as easy as possible so that you don't have to think about it when you're streaming. So for example, these are the Rode Wireless Goes here. So I'm going to hold these up so you all can see these. And the great thing about these is that one of these connect one of these to your computer, the other one goes on your one clips on yourself, and then the other goes like on your camera, wherever you're actually trying to, whatever you're using it from. So basically, it captures this audio source from one of these into the transmitter, into the camera, to then do your audio feed. And so again, you got to make sure that these are like you got to know what type of environment you're going in. So again, if you know that, it's going to help you be a more confident live streamer because you're not going to have to focus on the equipment. Like we like to say, I think, don't fear the gear, because here's the thing: if you get the right equipment, you don't have to buy all this other stuff and then figure out how to actually, well, I am in a mobile setup. I need to figure out what to take where. So I want to bring up a great comment, by the way, as well, from Coffee Talk and Tech here. And he's saying the best thing is that, and he's talking about these Rode Wireless Go 2. He's saying the best thing is they are recorders too, not just a mic. So if you lose connection, they still record audio. So absolutely. So they can do that as well. So, again, just if you're trying to record audio and you're like, you know what, I don't like the way I sound, chances are it's the wrong type of mic. If, okay, well, then you're going to go buy a mic. You buy the wrong type of mic. Well, oh, there's all this background noise. It doesn't sound good. That's because maybe you got the wrong type of mic. So again, it's getting the right type of equipment to help you be more confident as a streamer. Okay, Marco, so let's do this. Let's move to number 5. Step number 5 in regards to, being more confident on your live streams. And that's going to be to allow yourself to make mistakes. Can you kind of talk about this? Like, what does that mean?
I have 2 things I like to say about this particular topic. First is, with the practice, you will make few mistakes. Okay, it's normal. You will understand. Okay, I made this mistake today, so next time I will be aware. I will be more cautious about it. And the second thing, and for me this is even more important, is you will learn to deal with mistakes. Okay, because at the beginning you start trembling, shaking, and panicking, and frustrated, and everything. But with the practice, you will understand. This is part of the game, making mistakes, because everything is live and is something that gets unplugged. It's something that doesn't work. It's someone that arrives to troll you. It's whatever. But with the practice, you will understand. You will learn to deal with this situation. So don't panic. Don't get frustrated because you made a mistake. Just learn from that.
Absolutely. And I love that point that you just made, which is, if you make a mistake, they're actually, a lot of people think like, oh, mistakes, like, if you think back to like school and you make mistakes in school, right? And somebody draws on your paper or things like that, right? And the downside to that is that as they draw on your paper, or like say you get an answer wrong or something like that, you get red pen, they mark in red pen, right?
Yeah. And they put you the donkey ears as well.
And here's the thing, so when you make mistakes in school, for example, it's kind of, you're kind of taught like, oh, you don't want to make mistakes. So you put more pressure on yourself.
Absolutely.
Which makes it harder to be more confident, because you're always then worried about, well, oh, I'm going to make a mistake. But the thing with live streaming is that live streaming is real. So for example, if my audio like made a mistake, if for example, let's say I got up and I yanked the cord out and I couldn't hear anything, I'm talking, or my cable, like something happened to the cable and the audio went out, or the video camera, as you see it, froze up. Part of that is knowing the equipment. So I know what kind of equipment I have. I use it. I test it out. I make sure it works. But then I also know that, if my audio goes up, it goes out. People understand that. They understand that cables go bad, for example. So you have to allow yourself to make mistakes. And the thing is, in school, you're kind of taught, like, in school, you're taught to make mistakes. And when you do, you get red check marks.
Yeah,
like that. And it actually holds you back. However, if you allow yourself to make mistakes, they actually help you grow, because you're making mistakes and you can quickly learn from those mistakes and fix what may have happened. So,
and the other, sorry, Chris, just to add something. If you're not learning and not making mistakes, it probably it means that you're doing just what others are doing as well. You're not trying new things, and this could be a problem for you.
And we know that like experimentation is like super important as a streamer. For example, you'll see this show has taken on a few different formats. And so, for example, Marco and I were trying to figure out, well, how do we get what kind of background do we do here? Because we want to switch shots, but we want to have it still look good. And so the thing is, we had to experiment. And that meant that maybe there was a stream where the background didn't look that great. for example, or even the lighting behind me. As you can see, I've got, different lights. For example, you see I've got these, I've got the purple lights behind me, for example, you know, and the thing is I had to experiment with what kind of look, what kind of lighting I wanted to go with. And by the way, this is not finished. There's more stuff I'm going to do here, but you have to be willing to make mistakes. And those mistakes could be audio, it could be video, it could be flubbing a line. For example, I've done 300 and something episodes of one of my shows, and we still make mistakes. And I still, sometimes I miss a cue, for example, or, my transition isn't right, or my delivery is not always 100% on. The thing is, you learn from the mistake and then you go and you build from it. So
Okay.
keep that in mind. Again, mistakes are not bad. They're temporarily bad, I guess, but they're there to
Yes.
also help you learn and propel you forward. So
Absolutely.
keep that in mind. Like I'll give you the example, like the lighting in the background. Like I said, this isn't finished. I had to figure out, well, do I want to switch the colors per show? What do I want to do? I haven't even gone like up to the top and, done lights there yet. I'm going to, but I'm not there yet. So again, it's a process. I'm sure, Marco, you probably didn't start off with your studio exactly like it is right now, right?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Talking about mistakes, this is something that I show usually on my trainings. It's how I looked on my first video. It was a recorded video
Yeah.
with my 1+1, and everything you could do wrong, I made it in that
Uh-huh.
video.
Yeah.
Just one thing, and this is something that I like to highlight when I do my trainings, is
Sure.
the message I was sharing. I
Mhm.
believed in that it was helpful, and I
Yeah.
think if I just get the audio from that message or writing a blog post, this would be good. But the lighting, the position, the everything, awful, just awful.
Nope. Absolutely. Nope.
so
Excellent point. Yeah.
so that's something you should have in mind, is that and I'm pretty sure that most of people, when they started, they didn't have the ideal conditions, okay, and or at least they don't have the same conditions or the same equipment as other people,
Yeah.
other big names had. But that's how we improve, okay. And if we don't create content, it will be harder to generate business. If we don't generate business, we don't generate money. If we don't generate money, we don't have money to invest on equipment. So I'll
Yeah.
leave it
Definitely.
there.
And I want to talk about just real quick. I mean, so Coffee Talk Text says, "Hey, he loves this purple background that I've got." By the way, if you want to see this, if you're listening to the podcast, go to launcher.live/EP91. That'll get you the episode. You can see what we're talking about. But lighting is key. He said he picked up some Nan lights. He's going to experiment with those. For example, I've got additional lights here that I'm working with. Like I'm using, this is the Genie Prisma Strip 32, for example. This is what I'm using. This is some additional lighting that I have that I'm using for my live streams. I haven't figured out where I want to put these, but I do know that I want to put them in my setup here. So Marco, I mean, okay, we know that, to be more confident on camera, you got to get your, setup right, but you also want to make sure, you do allow yourself to make some of those mistakes.
Yeah.
So what's number 6, by the way?
Well, number 6 is something really important. And okay, we are talking about live streaming, but this you can take this advice in the kind of content you want to create. It's being remarkable, and this is something challenging by these days. Why? Because we see so many people creating content, and amazing content, that we may get tempted to make as they do. Okay, the same thing. Oh, it's working for Gary V. I'm gonna do it that way. I will start cursing. I will start speaking fast, and this will work for you. But the place of Gary V, it's already taken. So you should have this thing being remarkable, and think about this in the whole thing. It's about the way you look on camera, the way you sound, the way your message it's delivered, okay? Because this is also important as well, okay? Because, for instance, I don't see lots of people, and this could be scaring at the beginning for me, but for me, this was something that I didn't thought too much. Doing live shows in languages that were not mine. Okay, so this it's and I made this crazy thing that I've spoke already 4 different languages in just one live show. Okay, I think I made this a couple of times. So this is this kind of things, and this brings us a little bit back to the possibility of making mistakes. It's by doing mistakes, by doing this at some point crazy things, we get our blue ocean. We get our own identity, our own thing. For instance, I I made lots of shows in Spanish. Okay, I got
Hmm.
my awareness in Spain, and they knew me on some congress I went there just because of my laugh.
Yeah.
My laughter was kind of my one of my brand things, and this is something that you should have in mind as well. Having a couple of things that are unique from you, that also makes people remind about you. And also, this is important, it's not because okay, I can just bring this uh, clown nose, and this is some at some point could be remarkable. But if this thing or you don't give the will to people to get back to your live shows, to watch the next show and the next and the next, and talk about people, look, these shows from this person, they are amazing, you should look at them, this will be kind of how can I, meaningless remarkability. Okay, so be
Hmm.
this remarkable thing, something of value to your audience. Okay, something that it's unique, but it's valuable to your audience. Otherwise, it's doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point, by the way. About again, you got to find out how to make yourself remarkable. And like I know last time we talked about on episode 990 at launcher.live/EP90, we talked about imposter syndrome, right? Like other people already doing it. Like how do I find a way to stand out? And that's key. I mean, you do have to find a way to stand out when you are doing live streams. But here's the other thing. I got some great comments here. I want to just talk about these real quick. So, for example, Dean Home One says, "Also be yourself, so people can get to know you as a person. We're all so unique, so why not let people know you?" Again, it's not just doing the cookie cutter approach to things. So, if you want to be more confident on camera and you're doing the cookie cutter approach, that's actually going to have a negative effect, because I think it's going to make you feel less confident in yourself, because you're going to have that seed of doubt in your mind that you're not going to be good enough because there's someone else already doing it. They're already doing a better job. They've been doing it longer than me. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that you're just starting with it today and they've been at it for a long time. You know what they've done? They've set the flag. They set what you are going to go after. So you got to be confident in yourself. And that starts with, finding what it is that makes you remarkable. Like, what is it that people like about you, for example? And again, this comes down to the material, it comes down to everything that you do.
Yeah,
If you
absolutely.
know, for example, if you know your material, for example, I love gadgets and tech. I don't know. You may not. I don't know if you may not have been able to tell that. I don't know, but I would talk all day about this stuff. Like I get excited, for example, when I talk about the latest iPhone that comes out, for example, and the ways that you can use the tool. Not, oh, it's got this processor, this much RAM. Like I don't necessarily care about that stuff. It's important to me. What's more important to me is the fact that you can use it for so many different things. Or we talked about, like, for example, the Stream Deck. I like the fact that, like I feel empowered because like what that little product does, by the way, for those who don't know what the Stream Deck is, it's this Marco, do you have one? Can we pull your camera up, by the way?
Let me
Or here, I'll pull up
see.
your screen here. Marco's got the Stream Deck right here. So this is the Stream Deck. For example, I'm going to talk about this from a camera confidence standpoint. So I love the Stream Deck. Guess what? It makes me feel more confident knowing, what? I don't have, like, even if it's just a couple of buttons that I need to actually press, or a couple steps, I can push a single button on this and have it switch cameras, for example, or use it for controlling my audio. or use it to launch apps or send out tweets or any of that kind of stuff. Like, so here's the thing, that little device, it builds my confidence. It's not saying you have to have all this stuff, but having certain equipment helps with that. So for example, I'm going to flip over to Marco here. Here's Marco, and he's got the Stream Deck right there in front of him. He's got the
Okay,
smaller
yes.
version, right? And
Yes,
so
it's 15 keys. And you may think, oh, 15 keys, it's so few keys. It's not enough. Yes, it is, because I've here just scenes. Okay, I can change my scenes with these keys. But I have here my main menu, and I have, for instance, here sound effects.
yeah,
I have here background music. Okay, I have here a voice modifier. This is when I want to go a little bit crazy on my shows.
yeah.
Okay, but with this, I can manage my live shows easily, and
Yeah.
also bring the diversity to my broadcast as well.
So when we talk about being remarkable, it's finding what you're most passionate about and talking about it. Like you could talk, like I would talk all day about tech and gadgets and different ways you can use it, to the point where you probably tell me to stop talking about it. But I could totally do that. And Coffee Talk and Tech, actually, I think can reiterate this, that you know
Also
that I
good.
love, if you know me. So this is where you let some of your personality shine through. You know that I like gadgets and tech, for example. So I can talk about other things, but that's where my eyes light up, you know? And so it's about finding what you are passionate about and really just, and I think the words lean into it, right? Find out what it is you're passionate about and just go all in on that. And here's the thing, for the most part, a lot of us, like we struggle. I feel like, Marco, I feel like a lot of people struggle with, like, for example, live streaming came out and they're like, oh, well, I want to do live streaming. Here's the thing. If you're not a techie person and you want to do live streaming, do it. But you want to make sure that, like, you keep your setup simple.
Yeah,
So then this
absolutely.
way it doesn't overwhelm you. It doesn't frustrate you.
Yeah. You should understand which thing would be kind of the star. So
Exactly.
if what you want to shine, it's your knowledge about gardening, having amazing stuff at the beginning won't make the difference.
Yeah. And you don't, and
Well,
you don't need
they
to
could
make your,
make the difference, but for worse.
well, and so here's the thing. You also need to think like, okay, I don't want to make it super complicated. How do I, for example, want to, like, we talk about, being authentic, find out what makes you tick. What makes you get up in the morning? What makes you want to talk about something? What is it you want to talk about? You look at other people, and then what we do is we try to copy those other people. And the problem is when we try to copy those other people, then it's like, well, how are they doing this? How am I doing this? It's great to, like, figure out how they're doing it, but you have to add your own spin to it to make people want to tune in, to make them want to follow you. By the way, if you are following us here on Amazon, fantastic. If you're not following us, click that follow button. We absolutely love that. But again, you got to find out what it is about you that makes you tick and go all in on that. And again, I mean, just some really great comments coming in from viewers. I mean, we've got Dean Home One saying, do you remember when YouTube started and we had to convert to Flash? Yes. Again, like, there's, like, at the time here's the thing, there really is no manual to a lot of things. If somebody says, hey, I want to do this, well, find somebody else who did it, ask them questions, have them help you take some of those shortcuts
Yeah,
so it
and
can help you move on.
by those times we didn't know that YouTube was the right place to find tutorials about doing things.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. So you got to find what it is that makes you unique. And in order to be more confident on camera, you then just need to, like, lean into it. I love doing this show, for example, every single week. And I love it because I love live streaming. I love tech. I love gadgets. There are other things I can be doing. Yeah, of course there are. There are a lot of things I could be, like, can I make my show look a lot better? Yeah. Can I play some sound effects? Yes. I haven't gotten there, but guess what? I'm not putting the focus on that. I'm making sure that I'm here present with you. So again, be remarkable at what you do. So the last thing we want to talk about, by the way, step number 7 to help you be more confident as a live streamer is probably one of the easiest things to do, right, Marco? It's easy, but it's hard.
Yep, absolutely.
And that is to be open to feedback and course correct often. And what we mean by that is being open to feedback. So for example, after every show, Marco and I, we have a little quick chat. Hey, are there things that we could do to improve things, for example? You know, are there things that like, hey, did I miss a cue on something? You know, are there things we want to talk about next time? Right. And so the thing is, I'm not over here like, okay, I don't want to hear what Marco's has to say about this. Oh, it's my, like, you can't go into it thinking, oh, it's my show. I control everything. No, you want to be open to feedback. So for example, if Dean Home One said, hey, you know what? Would love it if you guys brought in a sound effect. Okay, we'll consider it. We'll take an advisement. We'll talk about it. We'll think about it. We'll see if it actually works, and we'll figure out how to do it. You know, if people come on and if you consistently say, you know what, I'm going to start at 1 o'clock, and let's say you're always starting at like 1:30 or 1:15 or even 1:05. By the way, I am guilty of this. You open to feedback. That feedback could be Marco could say, hey, Christian, you know, we said we're going to start at 1 o'clock. It's 1:15, for example. So, so you do want to be receptive of feedback, and then you want to course correct often. We talked about this earlier, and that was the fact that when people give you feedback, sorry, we talked about learning from your mistakes. So you got to make sure that if you have a mistake that happens, big deal, brush it off, pick yourself up, and get right back on that horse. Get back out there as a live streamer. Marco, is there anything else you want to add on this topic?
Well, this is something really interesting, because at some point feedback could be a little bit painful, okay, or hurtful, because let's have in mind the comments coming from the audience, okay. Some, they just say, okay, you're not that good, you should do things that way. Or even, for instance, your friends, your relatives, or other people. Think about this as an onion, okay. So onion has these layers of skin, and so at some point you have to remove some layers from the outside to get the important thing on the onion. So think as feedback as the same, okay. Remove those layers of maybe some evilness or something, and get the juicy part of the onion, and understand, can I have something interesting on my live show based on this feedback? And if yes, use it, because using onion on salad tastes really good. Okay. So have this in mind. Don't take too serious in the bad side of a feedback, a comment, okay. They are trying to hurt me. Don't make it too personal, okay. You can do three things. You can embrace that feedback as, okay, this is helpful for me, okay. You can understand, you can bend the comment and get those good juicy part of the onion with the comment. Or if it's just someone mean, you just have to say, that person had a bad day, don't think too much about it, okay. But have this, because one of the challenges in the live streaming is that people are more open to comment, okay. It's easier because, and also this not so good comments, they can come to the to the to the comments, or to the table. Yes, to the table. So have this in mind. And also, it's good to have your own feedback, looking with a constructive critic approach, okay. Don't think everything it's good. Oh my god, I'm so good on this. I'm the Michael Jordan of live streaming. Or on the opposite side, I'm awful. I will stop doing live streaming because I know nobody's seeing me. Or I see some people doing live shows with thousands of people, and I just have 10. So don't have this how can I say it, extreme approach. But understand, and this is something that you will learn as well, like the way you react with mistakes, it's how you react with feedback. So have this in mind as well, because it's really important when we talk about live in the broader sense of content.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, yeah. And again, I mean, it's about being open to feedback. And I will say this: I mean, there's some great comments from more of our viewers, and Coffee Talk and Text saying, hey, He's open to feedback from the right people. Trust your feedback. Trust who your feedback is from.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
again,
important.
you want to make sure that like, and I love the example you gave there, the great analogy, Marco. And it was just, the onion. And again, it's like, for example, like if you're at the center of things and you've got your, tight knit circle closer to you, and out on the outside are all the people that are watching your streams, for example. And if you don't know them, like they may give you feedback, and it may be very good feedback, or it could be very negative feedback. You don't want to take all the feedback and just say, okay, we're
Yes.
going to take everything everybody implements, tells us to do, and we're going to do it. We want to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we want to have a strategy about our live streams, for
A
example.
filter. It's a good filter.
Yeah, and so we do want to fill like, and you can even give the example of a sieve. So like, as you like put like pasta into a sieve or colander, and like you're draining the water out, for example, you're putting that in, you're letting the water come out, and then the goal is to get as much water out of that, so you're distilling it down. So again, take some of the feedback, implement some of it. You don't have to do all of it. You don't have to do all of it at once. Somebody may have a good idea, but it just isn't the right time.
Absolutely.
So if you're like, for example, if you're not confident as a live streamer and people are giving you feedback and they're like, hey, you should stop streaming, like, don't take that. That's bad feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. I
If
had
you
this
if you
problem.
believe in yourself and you know your material and you know what you're doing, or you have a semblance of what you're doing, you can always build from that. So, again, and this is a great one actually. Right people are great at opinions, even if they've never done. Absolutely. So, you do want to be mindful about who you take feedback from. But you also have to remember feedback's there to help you. So if it's something that like, you're not good at, take the feedback, process it, and then figure out, what, do I need to use this? Do I not? It's almost like having a flow chart. But
Yep.
I just want to thank everybody for tuning in to what is essentially episode 91
Thank you.
of the Launch Your Live podcast, where we talked about steps to help you be more confident as a live streamer, to be, to do a confident live, because there's a lot that goes into a live stream already. And so you want to continue to build upon every little shred of that, whether it's, your first live stream, you don't have people tune in, big deal. Think about the feedback. Okay, I didn't have, you even can give yourself feedback. Hey, Christian, you didn't have a whole lot of people tune in. Well, what can you do differently? Well, you've come to find out, maybe you didn't promote the live stream. So again, you want to constantly be building and, making sure that like the gear, for example, don't fear the gear. Don't make that like a crutch, for example, to going live. Don't make the fact that like you don't like the way you sound, or you don't know like what you look like on camera. For example, as silly as this sounds, even let's say you're like, you know what, I don't like broadcasting to an empty room. What if you put like, you could put those googly eyes on the top of your camera, so at least you're looking at somebody, or you could put a picture up there. Doesn't matter. But think about it like this. You're talking in front of audience, because again, the more confident you feel on camera, the better your live streams are going to be. So with that, I want to thank everyone for tuning in.
Thank you.
This has been episode 91 of the Launch Your Live show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And remember, we do these every single week. But if you want to check out this episode, you want to check out the gear and everything we talked about, just go to launcher.live/EP91. We'll see you all on a future episode.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.